Hey guys, it's Peter here. So it's super sunny here in New York City. Looks like finally, spring is coming. It was a long winter, I'm sure for everyone. So today, I'm gonna do something interesting. I'm gonna talk about Dolce Gabbana the One. And there's not a single person who doesn't know this, of course, but I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, do not buy this. Of course, that doesn't apply to everyone. So hopefully you'll listen to the whole thing. But this man, it's an attractive bottle, right? Like it's one that sells this fragrance, and a lot of people on YouTube and just in general talk about Dolce Gabbana the One as being one of the safest fragrances, one that's really loved by the ladies, and one that you can't go wrong with, right? So a lot of people would classify this as a must-have fragrance, right, in any collection, and a good starter one. In my opinion, that's also why, it being so safe, that's also why I think a reason not to get this fragrance, right? It's a bit boring, and we'll get a little bit more into that. And I find myself having better alternatives to reach for in different situations. So, I think that if you're gonna get, one fragrance, one and only fragrance ever, right, and wear that for everything, then this is gonna be a good one for you, while still being affordable. But otherwise, if you're even looking to get 3, 4, 5 different fragrances for different situations, I would actually opt for different fragrances. This is a super hyped fragrance. I don't think, I see where the hype is coming from, right? It's a beautiful composition, right? It's just so well created, but it's not, natural smelling fragrance. It's affordable, designer, and there's nothing spectacular about it, in my opinion. So let me give you a little bit of background first, right? Dolce Gabbana the One, I have the EDP version right here, that comes in the darker bottle. The Eau de Toilette version was the first one released, and that one came out, I believe, in 2005. And this one, years later, I think it was 2015 or something like that. But 2005, that's quite an old fragrance, right? But I just need to be reminded of the smell to get in the mode of talking about this. And look, it is good. It is good. But the perfumer of this is Olivier Polch, right? The son of Jacques Polch, who Jacques Polch was the in-house perfumer of Chanel for many years. And Olivier Polch is a big name. Anyone in the fragrance community knows of him. He is a respected perfumer, one of the best known in the industry. And if we look at his resume, he's done a lot to demonstrate that, right? He's, in addition to Dolce Gabbana 1, he did the original Dear Homme in 2005. He did Valentino Uomo, Spice Bomb, Van Cleef Arpels Midnight in Paris. He also, contributed to things like La Vie est Belle, which is a very famous women's fragrance, designer fragrance. And so this guy, is no joke, right, in the industry. This guy's no joke. Me saying don't buy this is not, worth the hype, doesn't, I'm not trying to diss this guy. He's, an extremely creative guy, right? I'm just a guy talking out of my apartment, right? But I am a consumer, so I think, everyone should sort of make their own judgment about fragrances, and not fall so easily on the hype train, because fragrance is such a subjective thing. The fragrances that tend to get hyped a lot are ones that appeal to a lot of people, right? If you think about it, if you take 10 people, if a fragrance pleases all of them, right? It's the smell, the nature of the smell is something that is easy to like. There's nothing offensive about it. And it's just attractive to most people. And Olivier Polch, I think, does that really well, right? This guy, I think, specializes in my opinion, mass appealing fragrances, and that's why he's so successful in the industry. He is good at creating fragrances that 99% of people are gonna like, right? Look at this one, Valentino Uomo. there's just nothing really off-smelling. There's nothing, you know, too bold about it. This one too, I mean, it's great, but there's nothing bold about it and nothing daring. And to me, that's why there's also nothing extraordinary about these fragrances that he creates. And so, you know, I don't think, you know, thinking of what Jacques Polch has done, I don't think that for Chanel, I don't think that Olivier Polch lives up to so far the creations that his father did. Look, you know, Jacques Polch has done Chanel's Allure Homme, for instance, the original, as well as the flankers, but the original, which is, you know, in my opinion, a masterpiece designer fragrance. It's complex. It's got, you know, it develops really nicely. It changes on you. It has good, beautiful contrast, you know. And Jacques Polch has also done Bleu de Chanel, right? The very first one, even when there were no blue fragrances out there, right? So that guy, you know, is on another level, in my opinion. Olivier Polch, great, but not yet there, in my opinion. So anyway, let's talk about the smell of Dolce Gabbana The One. And let me give it a fresh spray so that I am reminded. It's been a while since I smelled this one. Alright. By the way, the price of this, you know, I think you can get full-size bottle for around $50 these days. So let's go. Okay, so again, it's so weird making this video saying that, you know, don't buy The One, and then I smell it and I like it, right? I like it. It's just so good, especially the opening is fresh. And it's so smooth, right? It's a well-blended fragrance. The opening has, you know, let me actually pull up the notes because this is a very nicely blended fragrance. You know, it's, I think it's good to think about the notes as we smell it. You know, it's got a grapefruit opening, but it's not super bright citrus. There's also just the right amount of, you know, spiciness that and warmth about this fragrance that makes it sort of an all-season fragrance instead of like an aquatic summer scent, right? Something fresh. And really one of the keys in this fragrance, in addition to the spice, is this slight smokiness and this warmth from amber and the sweetness that comes from that note. Of course, you know, amber, I believe, you know, you don't use amber. It's not a material that you use to create the smell. It's just an accord, but it has a warmth, right? It's really nice, but it just no part of this smells supernatural, which is fine. But this is a very linear fragrance. It just the same smell, aside from that 2 seconds in the opening where it's fresher. The same smell, a slight warm, you know, spicy, sweet fragrance throughout the whole life. And also, you know, the performance of this is not amazing. Even the EDP concentration is not, you know, it's okay, right? The performance is okay. So essentially, the reason I don't like it, right, is when I first smelled it, my impression and my feeling about it now too is, oh, it's good, you know, it's good. But as I had it on my shelf, you know, I found that I wasn't really wearing it, and that's because in situations where I might reach for this, there's always something better, right? So I see this one as, you know, a perfect sort of fall fragrance, given that wearability, but the warmth about it, right? And the coziness that this one has. I think that's also why it's so attractive to women, but I see it as a fall fragrance, and I would rather wear, in the designers, YSL's La Nuit de l'Homme than this, right? La Nuit de l'Homme also has that, you know, thing of being too mass appealing and a bit generic, but it's a bit, I think, has more character than this one. This one it hits all the check marks, right? It's like Olivier Polch is that perfect A student, right? This one is great in the sense that it hits, you know, it has warmth, it has sweetness, it has spiciness, but it doesn't have one direction, right? Which I think is what makes you reach for a certain fragrance. And so Lanui Dolom, I think, is a little bit better. It's just better smelling, more interesting, less generic. Again, if this is the only one that you plan to buy, if you only plan to buy one fragrance, this is a great one, right? And you know, some people even call this one a masterpiece, right? And that, I think that just depends on how you define masterpiece. So you know, I sort of get what what people are saying by saying this is a masterpiece. You know, it's again a well-crafted fragrance that's priced well. You know, it just smells nice and appeals to everybody, right? You know, it's just a nice cologne for every man, right? It's the perfect men's scent, but you know, again, it's a masterpiece in the sense that it takes all the ingredients, right, that you have available, and then concocts something, right? Olivia Poge concocts something that hits all the points, right? You know, it's balanced in that sense where you can wear it everywhere, right? You can wear it everywhere and know that you're gonna be safe. But that just, you know, we're not living to be safe, right? And especially with fragrances, there are so many options that you know, I don't want the one that, the part of the fun is finding something that's interesting, right? Or something that's bold and really transports you, right? So, you know, is this one pleasing? Yes, right? But does it evoke anything? Like, does it create any imagery, you know, of a place or of a time? No. I mean, of a time, I guess that's subjective, right? If you wore this during a special time, yes, you remember, right? But that's with any fragrance. But it doesn't transport you like certain other fragrances do. I'm trying to think. For me, like Dior Fahrenheit, for example, is so strong, right, in its character. It has that ability to transport me, and it just creates certain images of scenes, you know, weather or whatever it may be, travel. But this one, not really, you know. All I can say is that it's a cozy, you know, fall fragrance that might remind you of the fall season or Christmas season, and you know, happy sort of gatherings, right? But you know, you almost, even if you haven't smelled this, when you smell it, you think, I smell this before somewhere, right? It's got that quality. You know, the problem of being too perfect and not really daring or experimental, you know, compare that to that kind of perfumery to like Maurice Rossel, who did Musk Ravageur, right? Frederic Malle, or things like Rochas Man, Amouage Reflection Woman, things that really go in a certain direction, right? It's like, okay, this fragrance is gonna be for this kind of situation or this kind of person, or evoke this sense. This one, I don't know what that is, right? So that's the only reason I would say don't buy this. If it's your first one, yes. If you're on your 5th or 10th fragrance, I don't think so. I think that your money is probably better spent. The $50 you could get more interesting, like 2 different fragrances, cheap fragrances that are actually better. Yeah, so that's it, you know. It's okay. You could see, you know, bottle's still full because I haven't really worn so much of it, aside from testing it. So that's my take on Dolce Gabbana The One. I wonder if there's anybody else out there who has even a similar opinion, right, about this one. Sort of underwhelmed by the hype of this. Maybe it's just that it's past its time, right? And we need something more modern, something new, right? We can't talk about the same fragrances or smell the same fragrances for you know, too long, right? They do go for some things are timeless, but still. Anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.